This is the best way to utilize the Duelist class. Let's talk about it. What's good, YouTube? NoGoodEman coming to you today with a Duelist class breakdown and guide video. So guys, in this video I want to showcase you guys the other class, Duelist, which is going to be your stagger heavy class. Really good for counterattacking on those boss monsters. But in this video we're going to teach you guys combat system, we're going to teach you guys skill trees, weapons, and more. But before we do, make sure you leave a like on the video. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a live or an upload. Now, first and foremost, of course, we've got to talk about that Duelist class skill tree priority. Now, if we go ahead and get into it, the first thing I do want to note is that I do have practically all of my skill scrolls for each and every one of my class skill trees. So I just want to note that you guys might not have as many skill scrolls as me. So we're going to talk about the priority in which you probably want to unlock some very good things to look out for. But the first thing to talk about is going to be that overdrive. So this has 3 different facets, and in this, slightly restores the overdrive gauge when you're hit. When deflecting, it restores the overdrive gauge again, and then when using the overdrive skill, consumes their entire overdrive gauge. The damage of Swift Shadow counterattack dramatically increases. Enemies stay staggered longer. Their shield acquisition chance increases, and then they gain a shield periodically. Again, a lot, and I mean a lot of good, powerful skills in this overdrive skill. Some passes as well. And of course, the skill itself, the user prepares a powerful deflect for a certain amount of time. When an enemy attack is deflected, the user delivers a devastating strike, and it's pretty powerful. It does a lot of stagger break damage, so very, very good. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some key skills within this skill tree priority. You guys want to, of course, unlock Swift Shadow counterattack. This is going to be a skill that will always be available as long as you guys are deflecting. So if you guys press your basic attack button, after deflecting, you will do a deflect combo attack, and then you will do this move right here that you just saw, Swift Shadow counterattack. That move can get enhanced multiple times because as we go down this skill tree, we have counterattack enhancement. This is going to be one of the first things you guys are going to want to unlock along with the overdrive skill. So it's going to significantly increase Swift Shadow counterattack stagger, and then even more of a powerful stagger if the user has learned the Duelist overdrive. So that is going to be one of the main things you want to grind for immediately. After that, the other left side of the skill tree is pretty decent. If we just look at some of these ones, we got counter strike, I believe 1 through 3. So every time a chain smash hit, it gradually increases damage dealt. Lovely, lovely, lovely. When the user uses deflect, it increases their damage dealt, not bad. And then when the user uses deflect, it increases the stagger effect. So again, this class is going to be really stagger heavy. Your boss monsters are going to be on their knees for a good amount of the battle. But if we go on over to the right side, there are some great skills in here to note. I think that they have a lot. You're definitely going to want armor break in your skill breakdown. We're going to talk about skills in just a second, but I think one of the more important skills in this skill tree is going to be drive. So this is going to decrease the cooldown of rebuttal. And if you don't know what rebuttal is, that is going to be the skill available after you guys hit a deflect. So when Genu uses deflect, he delivers a powerful spinning kick, inflicting the stagger effect on the enemy. So you as a duelist main, as a duelist class, using that overdrive skill, you're going to want to deflect. You're probably not going to extreme evade as much unless, let's say, your rebuttal is on cooldown. Then you might want to extreme evade, but you're going to be holding block for a majority of a battle if you want to reap the best rewards from the class. Now, rebuttal, of course, is going to inflict instant stagger to any boss that has a stagger gauge. So that is something to keep in mind. I think this is going to be a very, very decent and very good skill. Now, if we go on back, you're definitely going to want to unlock basically everything else within this skill tree. You should definitely prioritize the Duelist class first before moving on to any other skill tree. They have some very good ones. Combo 2, staggering the enemy activates rebuttal and increases rebuttal's damage for a short period of time. So you can stagger an enemy, get rebuttal right back, and increase the damage of that rebuttal that you guys do, turning rebuttal from just a simple move that staggers enemy into a DPS attack. So you're going to see some gameplay a little bit later, and it's going to be very, very nice and lovely. So go ahead, get all the classes, get all the skill trees, definitely prioritize getting counterattack, enhancement, getting drive, and then of course the overdrive skill. And then I do want to note, because I do have a lot, and I mean a lot of skill scrolls, I have picked ruler as my side class, and in this I grinded all the way for feast on the weak. Slightly recovers HP each time the user defeats an enemy. This will allow me to have a good amount of HP throughout the battle. And then I also did pick up the dispersion skill for just any type of boss wave monsters that I'm dealing with, any type of wave battle, any type of chapter battle in which I'm just facing a lot of mobs. The next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be that weapon skill tree. Now, with the weapon skill tree, I do want to note that I prioritize polearm weapons. If we look at my Senjinu just really quickly, you guys will see that I have both the Divine Quarterstaff and the Shadow Scythe. These actually go under the same weapon class, and that's going to be polearm. Now, of course, if you guys are wondering what are the best weapons for the duelist class, I'm just going to go to my codex really quickly. I think as an endgame duelist, you guys definitely want to prioritize polearm classes. The Divine Quarterstaff is a great weapon to be using, and the Shadow Scythe is an amazing weapon to be using. It almost doesn't even matter what class you are. The Shadow Scythe is just amazingly OP and stupid and ridiculous. But if you guys do want some other suggestions, I think that the Vulcan's Rage is pretty good if you want to prioritize just breaking an opponent's gauge. You can definitely just do that with your basic skills. If you have all your basic skills from the duelist class equipped, you can do that along with rebuttals, along with just a lot of counterattack moves. I think you really don't need the Vulcan's Rage, so that's why I didn't personally prioritize that. I think Naga's Garden Dragon's Trident is another good weapon to be building. This could also help you very early on. And then a weapon you can get pretty early on, probably Troll's Hammer. This could probably help you out as a duelist class as well. So early game, you're probably looking for either Troll's Hammer or Naga's Guardian, whatever rank you can get it at the time. But for your end game, you're probably going to want to focus on the Divine Quarterstaff and the Shadow Scythe. Now that I explained what weapons I am rocking for my duelist class, we can actually go back to that skill tree, because when it comes to using the polearm skill tree, if you're using one weapon or two weapons that both come from the same class, you can basically max out the entire class if you have enough skill scrolls. I have 12 left over. I'm not using any other weapon from another class, so I'm just currently just leaving those just as it is. But very, very good skills in this skill tree. I think these actually go super insane. When the user is hit while activating a skill that uses a polearm, it activates Shadow Step. Almost insane. When the user is hit while using a skill that uses a polearm, deals additional damage to the target, right? There's some insane ones in here. When the user uses a special attack after using deflect, significantly increases the damage of skills that use a polearm, and you as a duelist class are going to be using deflect. Increases damage to staggered targets. Crazy. Activates block on a polearm's basic attacks for a short period of time. So if you're spamming your basic attacks on a monster that's attacking you, you have the slightest chance to actually get a parry from that, and who knows, you activate rebuttal, whatever the case. I like this one up here, Smash. It just increases your stagger. I did max this out to 3 first and foremost, so again, there's a lot of great weapons in this skill tree. When deflect is activated from the weapon parry effect, increases attack for a certain amount of time. Dude, pole arms are broken. I'm actually loving playing the duelist class right now. But finally, if we're talking about physique, you guys know from the beginner's guide or just any other guide I've talked about, just get everything unlocked first, go all the way down, just make sure you have the final ones unlocked. And then what I did prioritize was maxing out my body enhancement 1. Now, personally, there's a lot of ways you could probably do this with the duelist class, but mainly because of what artifacts I'm rocking, and we're going to show that a little bit sooner, but I maxed out all my HP, all my defense, and all my attack. And then from there, I'm going to max out my defensive penetration, and then finally hopes in maxing out my damage taken decrease. But as you can see, critical hit rate is maxed out. Really, the only things not maxed out on this skill tree for me is defensive penetration and damage taken decrease. So I'd say that the duelist class is looking pretty good. And then this is my Monarch's Awakening skill tree. I unlocked all the way on the right to Omen of Destruction 2, and then all the way on the left to Dawn of the Rule 4. Now that we talked about that, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my skill set. If I'm facing a boss monster, I'm gonna utilize Rush and Pummel in my basic skill set A, and then in my basic skill set B, we're rocking Percussion along with Armor Break. These 4 weapon skills or just basic skills will allow me to break out an opponent's gauge gauge pretty fast, and I use this on level 85 monsters, and their gauge gets broken relatively fast, especially if I start off blocking, I get a deflect and I activate rebuttal. It's going to do insane amount of break damage. And let's go ahead and talk about some other things when it comes to using the Duelist class. Let's go ahead and showcase the blessing stones we're rocking. The most important one to the Duelist class is definitely going to be Pulverize. The damage of skills in the Duelist class skill tree and your stagger effectiveness increase significantly. I wish I had this on legendary, but currently I don't. It's on heroic, but if I do get this on legendary, it's going to increase even more. And then pairing that with sharp perception, this is one of my only other legendaries, so I'm just activating this one. If a critical hit isn't activated, the chance of your next attack landing as a crit increases. And then just 2 defensive based blessing stones. A lot of you guys keep telling me HP extraction is good. I'm waiting to get it at least heroic so I can try it out, but these are not bad ones. Kasaka Steel Scales, or you could go, let's say, Tenacity instead of Kasaka's, because when your HP is below a certain level, it significantly decreases your damage taken. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. Let's go ahead and talk about the stat allocation when it comes to the Duelist class. You can see it right now. I have prioritized strength, vitality, perception, and agility in that specific order. I think that with the Duelist class, you want to have a good amount of strength and you want to have a good amount of vitality along with perception. This will allow you to increase the minimum amount of damage that you do to your target, and a little bit of agility because you're going to be still getting critical hits every now and then. Now I do want to mention again, I'm level 62, so this is an end game Duelist. A lot of you guys might not have as many stat points as me, so what do I prioritize less? Probably going to be the agility. I think that you probably want to aim for 100 on strength, vitality, and perception, and then focus on agility. Just get to 100 on those 3 and then focus agility as much as you can. And then let's go ahead and showcase the artifacts and some artifacts that you guys should be rocking. Currently, I'm rocking 2-piece Almighty Shaman along with 1-piece Burning Curse gloves and 1-piece Burning Curse boots. Along with that, on the right side, this is something new. I'm actually rocking the skeleton set, which is actually kind of a risky set to be rocking depending on your survivability. But I will say, if you guys don't have a problem surviving in or Overdrive, you probably want to rock with the skeleton set because the damage is going to be insane. The damage output absolutely insane. But of course, as you guys know, the gloves and the bracelet is probably the main 2 things you want to be paying attention to, because on these tier 10 gloves at +5 enhancement, I'm getting 86% attack, and currently it's not +5 yet, but it's +3. This tier 9 skeleton bracelet is giving me a 51% attack, and comparing that to a, let's say, tier 7 that is +5, this one is a 49%, and I got 2 more enhancements to go, so it's going to be probably something similar to this beast bracelet that's giving me 66%. So grind out those tier 9s when you guys can. And I want to talk about some weapons that are kind of, or not weapons, but artifacts that are kind of better and that I would be rocking. I would say that the Burning Greed helmet is very, very decent. If the target is staggered, it increases the damage of the team, including the user, for a short period of time. And the Burning Greed gloves, this one increases the user's stagger effect. I want to get these 2 as fast as I can. And as far as the other pieces, because it's going to be 1-in-1, you could 2-piece this with almost relatively, I would say, any set. Let's say if you want to max out your defense and HP, you could do Archangel, you could do Dragon Knights to significantly increase the user's defense, decrease your damage taken. Again, you're going to be more of a tanker unit. You're going to be blocking a lot, but you could still take damage depending on the attack. So I probably wouldn't recommend Sharpshooter. You could go Corrupted Knight, or you could go Almighty Shaman for that 2-set effect. On the right side, you're more limited. So again, I'm probably going to recommend Beast Bracelet just as a good base. And if you feel like you're good enough to survive and play with half of your HP for a good amount of the battle, go ahead and throw on those skeleton earrings. Finally, let's go ahead and talk about those team formations. So currently, I'm going to rock something similar that I rock on my Assassin main. 2 healers and a tank unit. Now, this tank unit specifically is going to be Saw Jiwoo. She has some pretty good break for a support skill. If you don't like Saw, you guys can use Radaru. I just made a video talking about how broken she is. Her support skill is actually very broken as well. It's going to attack relatively a lot of enemies within the area, but it doesn't do too much stagger. So that's why I'm currently opting for Saw over Radaru right now. Now, as far as the shadows, if you're early game, just rock IGRIS, but I will say if you're mid to late game, I think that you have a very good case when it comes to using Iron. He's going to increase the entire team's defense. I don't know what amount. I don't really have him upgraded too highly, so currently I don't have a problem with my defense. I don't wish that my defense was higher because I'm doing a lot of blocks, I'm getting a lot of stagger effects, and the enemy is barely attacking me throughout the battle. So I'm personally going to rock IGRIS to increase the entire team's critical hit rate, including the shadows, I believe, and then Tusk is going to be a good sub shadow because he's going to inflict an attack increase buff on all other shadows. And then I'm finally using Tank in the last slot because he actually freezes the boss with one of his skill passives, so the boss will basically be frozen for a good amount of time. Helps me control the battlefield. And then as far as the potions, I will say I am rocking the Holy Water of Life again because of that skeleton set. I want as much shield as possible, so when I use this potion debuff, the user gains a shield for a certain amount of time. In case you're wondering, how do I get that? Because you don't unlock that via story. You actually get all the potion enhancements via your world map at a 1-star Orange Gate boss. This one's going to be at chapter 10, so if you guys haven't completed chapter 10, you won't be able to get it, but it's going to be at the 1-star bar and reward. I got it right here. So this was the Holy Water of Life potion alchemy material. All right, let's go ahead and get into some gameplay footage. I actually played out the class on a tier 10 monster, IGRIS the Red, before I got on to make this video, so I can kind of give a more comprehensive guide and give you guys a little bit more insight without having to play mid battle. So I'm just popping a potion right now to get that shield effect before the skeleton effect does take enhanced. Now, IGRIS the Red, of course, we're going to start off with a parry, and then I immediately hit my basic attack to do my Swift Shadow counter attack, and then from there I'm doing a lot of break damage. Saw G was also going to come out to the field and she's going to do some break damage as I hit rebuttal. And now after I hit rebuttal, I'm using death, and then I'm going to do him with my basic skill 2. This one is pummel. As you can see, his break gauge got decimated, and then I need one more. I use rush right there, and then I switch weapons, and then he crashes, or we stagger him entirely with his break gauge. And after I stagger him, I actually get my rebuttal skill right back. So that's that overdrive passive that allows me to use rebuttal more than once. It did a decent amount of damage. Now we're hitting him with the shadow sight, and then we're using other break skills. I have the divine quarterstaff on me. It's crazy because now I'm using 2 weapons that I have to hold to use, right? When a boss glows, this is when you guys perfectly want to parry this. You definitely want to block this. Somebody asked me that in one of my videos. If a boss glows, what do I do? Just go ahead and block him. You block him, deflect him, and then now I'm doing my counter attack once more. It's very easy. Once you guys block and you actually get a good parry, just hit your basic attack button as fast as you can. Now we're parrying him. Now we're just unloading a bunch of weapons on him, right? So both my basic skill sets both do stagger break damage, so I'm just using both of those, switching weapons on those, or I'm going to parry and then do my quick counter attack because now I have multiple facets to do stagger damage. Now we're spamming him with the Chateau Sight. Now this battle, I did not use my shadows, or I did not use my transformation, my Monarch's Awakening, just because I wanted to get a very good overview of my class just being good instead of me relying on my shadows. Also, I kind of lag when I'm using my shadows, but as you can see, I do have the damage numbers on because a lot of you guys actually asked that I have the numbers on the screen. Again, that kind of lags me too, but in this video, I got you guys. Now, regardless, we're overloading. You can kind of just see a lot of what's going on. I'm just giving you guys some basic commentary, but once he is up, we're just going to overload him with a bunch of break skills. The main thing here is counterattacking. So counterattacking, hitting that basic attack to do that swift strike counterattack, hitting my rebuttals when I can, and just overloading him. Now, as far as the overdrive skill is pretty decent once you actually have it used. I will say this overdrive skill is pretty hard to get activated. You're gonna need a lot of counterattacks, and you guys actually charge it once he hits you as well. Let's go ahead and break IGRIS once more, and then activate rebuttal. Boom, doing a nice amount of damage up there. If you're paying attention at the top, rebuttal's actually doing some good damage. Now, I think this is when I try to activate the overdrive skill because I see that he's about to die, but I kind of want to get some practice on it. But I think what happens, he actually enrages, so I couldn't actually activate the overdrive skill, but it actually does activate right there. So that is that instant. Basically what happens when your overdrive skill gets active, he instantly attacks. So if you wonder when is the best time to use the overdrive skill, it's when you know you're gonna get attacked. And I thought he was gonna attack me right there, but boom, instant counter attack. So that's basically what the overdrive skill entails. And now I'm just using my counterattacks, my regular counterattacks after I use a basic attack, and IGRIS the red is down. Honestly, very easy boss. Pretty much I don't get hurt, right? And as you can see, I was basically at half health for the entire amount of the battle. So all in all, the Duelist class is a very dangerous class that deals insane amount of stagger over and over to enemies, but I want to learn from other duelists in the comments below. So if you guys are a Duelist class, feel free to leave any notes, any tips and tricks, any of your personal things that you like to do in that class, any weapons you rock or anything in between. But don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Peace.